Hey everyone, here I am on a Tuesday night preparing for my stream later this week for Frosthaven Digital's launch, thinking I would be having a nice quiet evening, and Cephalophair Games had other ideas, it seems, and have just announced Mercenary Packs, which are extra characters that you can add into your Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, your Jaws of the Lion campaigns, pretty much any Haven game by the looks of things. So I thought, well, I should probably make a quick video and jump into my initial reactions to these. So I think it's really cool what they've done here with the different characters, kind of bringing back the Diviner, for example, from Forgotten Circles, which now I'm kind of made to look like I need to eat my own hat, whereas I think earlier this week, less than a week ago, I made a video saying that it was kind of like the forgotten black sheep of the family, and obviously they do think there's legs in this mercenary still. I know a lot of people really enjoy the mercenary. I think the mercenary was never necessarily the actual issue. I think it was more to do with the actual kind of scenarios and stuff. People ran out of steam. They weren't to everybody's liking. Of course, there were some initial problems with the mercenary, with the class, but I think that was mostly cleaned up in the second edition. So, hey, this is a great way for you to get that class now, which is a pretty well-liked class overall, certainly for a certain type of playstyle, a certain type of control type player. If that's like you, if you like that kind of controlling manipulation style of play, then certainly going to be a character you'd be probably interested in. But they've also added a couple of others here. So we have the irritable Enchanter. We have Hale, who comes from Gloomhaven. She's a character that you meet during your travels in Gloomhaven, sort of an NPC that is quite charismatic or uncharismatic, I guess, depending on the way you look at it. Anyway, she's well known in the Haven universe. You then have Satha, the mayor of Frosthaven, who you meet straight away, right after A Town in Flames, after Scenario 1. So we will be seeing a lot of Satha this week when I start my Frosthaven digital playthrough. So that's a character that we know and love. And then also Anaphi, or Anaphi, who's from the Fallen Lion expansion. It's been a while since I've played Fallen Lion, Jaws of the Lion. So I'm guessing that's from maybe the comics or something. I'm not actually too sure, but I thought maybe we should just check this out. Maybe let's have a look at the kind of pricing and stuff like that, and see if maybe it's something you might want to pick up. Okay, so I'll link the video down below if you want to check that out, but I thought we'll just go onto the website, Cephalophair's website, and see what this is all about. So you see you've got the 4 different packs you can buy or pre-order at this point. Doesn't look like there's any date or anything on these that I've noticed. But maybe we can find one soon, but it doesn't look like there's any particular date. And also a bit of a discount if you want to buy all of them together. I mean, my initial feelings for this is that it is maybe a little bit expensive for a class. I mean, yes, you get a mini, you get all of the cards and everything to do with that, but you do get a lot of classes and minis in the big box games, right? So I think probably for just one mercenary, it seems a little bit expensive, but then I mean, it was probably going to end up around this kind of price. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It doesn't seem particularly cheap to me, but I guess also perhaps it's not too expensive. I don't really know, but I guess it's the price of like a small add-on. And if it's a character that you're really interested in, then it might be something you would do. But I would suggest that when you bundle it all together, it does feel maybe a little bit expensive, you know, paying £58 for 4 mercenaries. For me, I don't know what that is in dollars, but you know, what's that going to be, like $70 or something like that for 4? I mean, the games like are generally what, $150, $200, something like that. So I don't know. It does seem a little bit pricey to me for just some mercenaries, but let's go on ahead and see what you actually get included. Let's just go to Hale first. We'll do a quick review if we can of what's available. I'm seeing this right from the get-go, so this is my first reaction. I haven't read anything more about this. So Hale, just as soon would roll her eyes at you as she would transform you into a mindless ooze. Gloomhaven's perpetually annoyed and reclusive Enchanter lets you turn her irritation into resolve, releasing just a fraction of her immense power. Muster the courage to knock on her door and recruit one of Gloomhaven's most powerful allies. So what do we get included? So we get a miniature. We get the card decks, of course. And then you get the class mats and sheets. This is all just stuff you would get in the envelope normally. A bonus scenario, which is interesting. I wonder if that's kind of like the solo scenario, essentially. Item card reward, I would assume that this is the solo scenario, so that's good. At least you kind of get a little bit extra, like you wouldn't normally get that. Like you normally have to buy the solo scenarios extra. So it's quite cool if it comes included with the solo scenario. And then tokens and standee, again, pretty standard for what you would expect to see. So here's the overview, the splash of what we would get. Sorry for the flashbang. But yeah, this is what we're going to get in there. Major annoyance. I'm guessing this is the scenario here. I'm not sure what that is there. Like it's like a little art card or something potentially for it. That's not something that you would usually get. Maybe that's just like a little art card. Presumably it doesn't have an envelope. It doesn't look like it has an envelope, which is interesting. So I don't know whether or not it would fit in the box. I mean, Gloomhaven box, Frosthaven box, all of the boxes, they are a very tight fit. So I can't really see this being able to easily fit inside that box. So they might have to be stored separately in this container anyway. So let's see if we can see any of the kind of cards here. Looks like you can see some of the cards. I mean, this is going to be a little bit difficult to see. I will try my best here. We'll try and do some tactical zooming in as much as we possibly can. Bit difficult to read here. Looks like we have this mechanic, which is resolve. Potentially a way to, like your own resource to spend to maybe have more sort of powerful effects or different effects with your abilities. Yeah, it looks like we got this symbol here, which is, it's almost cost 2 there. But certainly something a bit new. We've also got this up here, which is quite interesting. Looks a little bit different. Maybe this is to do with the resolve. Whenever this attack kills an enemy, place +1 sticker of the enhanced dex. Oh, that's cool. So it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Oh, that's super neat. Oh, I really like the design of that. So it's just like a card that just perpetually gets stronger and you get rewarded for getting that killing blow. That reminds me a lot more of kind of like more of a video gamey mechanic, right? Or like a roguelike mechanic where you know that if you land the killing blow with an ability, it gets more powerful or something like that. That kind of, yeah, I really like that. That's a really cool idea. And certainly that's something that you're going to want to try and do. Oh, there's like a gain one of that resource. So presumably that's how we can do. There's also something here which I cannot make out. Is that got inspiration written there? Is that inspiration? Oh, okay, maybe that's just to help us know that that helps us gain inspiration. That's kind of a neat thing. Perhaps that just sort of indicates, hey, this ability you should pay attention to because it's going to help you get your resource, your inspiration resource. Seems like this character is like a little bit more of a range type character. Attack 2, yeah, attack 2, range 3 there, 5 range 4. This is also a ranged. So it looks like a ranged character, which I guess would make sense given her kind of key art and the fact that she's more of a kind of a magic user type character. More of like a mage. Well, she's Enchanter, right? Yeah, doesn't look like she has anything particular in terms of like shielding or anything like that. So none of that kind of stuff, at least that's evident here. Got some nice, like, bit of wounding going on there. Got some stun there, which is nice. Like, that's a really nice ability, I guess, if you can use that, right? Wound, range 3. Consume 2 inspiration to get a stun at range 3 and gain an XP. That's a great ability. Really, really good. But, of course, you have to spend the inspiration. So you're going to have to get that. Which is a really nice idea, actually, because it kind of means that you can print these really powerful abilities. You just lock them behind having to spend several turns to kind of get it, which I quite like. I like the idea of... this is going to be a hugely impactful ability, but the fact is you're going to have to get that inspiration. So you can't play it on turn 1 of the game unless there's something. I mean, there's me then finding out this character starts with 2 inspiration or something. But do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where you're going to have to work for it. You can't just go short rest, get that card back, play it again. Short rest, get that card back, play it again. Which was some of the problems with some of the stuns of the past and very powerful abilities. But this looks pretty cool. A little bit of healing there by the looks of things as well, potentially. Like an AoE heal, which is kind of nice. That's quite cool. Yeah, quite a lot of control, actually. There's stun there, poison wound, stun there. Teleport. Good for moving. Good loot card here by the looks of things as well. Can potentially do a big loot. Yeah, sorry if you guys can't see this very well, but I've zoomed in as much as I can on my big monitor to try and see this. But looks kind of interesting. Okay. I mean, this inspiration mechanic doesn't feel like it's going to be particularly complicated necessarily, unless, of course, this is kind of a bit difficult. I don't know if this... Is this the one that we use all the time? Gain 1 inspiration at the end of each of your turns. If there are no allies or enemies within range 2, gain 1 inspiration. Or if there are 2 allies... No, it must be no allies or enemies. Gain 1. Whenever you are attacked by an adjacent enemy, after the attack, perform push 1. Target the attacker. Okay, leave me alone. Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? To just be on your own and then you gain some inspiration. Okay, that's cool. That seems like a pretty consistent way if you play at the right time to get 2 inspiration, right? Always going to minimum get 1, potentially get 2. And then you get this nice little ability that if people attack you, you can push them away, which is kind of quite thematic. I don't know what the gameplay ramifications of that will be. I guess if you position yourself nicely with traps or hazardous terrain, it could be quite nice. But I guess it's also just more of a thematic thing, which is quite cool. Any other ways to gain inspiration here? Gain 1 inspiration. The first time each round you loot any number of tokens, gain 1 inspiration. At the start of each of your turns, perform a move 2. And this is a permanent ability? Yeah. Oh, wow. You're just going to get a free move 2. And then the first time each round you loot any number of tokens. Oh, so it's just very loot-hungry character. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, nice. I like this. At the start of each of your turns, if you end your turn occupying the same hex you started the turn occupying, gain 1 inspiration. Increase all printed range values on your ability cards by 1. That seems quite cool. Do we have like multi-target anywhere at all? Because that kind of thing with the extra range can quite often come into play with like multi-target. I don't see any right now. But obviously just giving yourself a bit of flexibility. You know, don't move basically means, and then you get extra range and you gain an inspiration. That's pretty cool. Okay, this character seems like pretty nice to play. Like in terms of like, it seems like it's got quite a clear kind of clear play style of being kind of a bit on their own, a bit of a loner potentially, and then you know, rewarding you for not taking, like, you know, not moving, for example, so staying put or being greedy and looting. So I guess it's quite thematic to her character in the sense that she's kind of quite standoffish, loner. She's not very nice to you in the lore of the game, so that kind of makes sense. So that is, that's the Enchanter, so that is Hail. So we'll look at some of the other 2 as well. We probably won't look at the Diviner very long. Here's the mini by the looks of things. Cool looking mini with a book. It's quite a nice mini, I think. Looks pretty nice to me there. Okay, well, let's have a look at some of the others then. So let's have a look at Anaphi, Fallen Lion. Once a mercenary from the infamous Jaws of the Lion crew, Anaphi, the Vermling, is now carving her own path through the city sewers to find some coin and maybe a friend along the way. Anaphi is ready to aid you and your allies, wielding augments and summoning Gloomhaven's most unsavory pests. So, sounds very much like a Mind Thief. So yeah, all of the same stuff. By the looks of things... Oh, there's an envelope in this one, though. Oh, was there an envelope in the last one? Was I just being blind? There is an envelope. Okay, I'm just being blind. I'm just blind. So it does come with an envelope. Okay, different pose to the Mind Thief, but very similar in kind of style. Yeah, I mean, it's a Vermling, right? I mean, they're going to look similar. It's got a boss, some kind of boss thing going on here. Perhaps that's to do with the solo scenario. There's a boss in it, maybe. Okay, let's have a look at the cards, shall we? See what we can do here. So augments. So presumably this is going to be basically like the Mind Thief, but slightly different. Augments. So augments, for those who maybe don't know, I'm assuming that most people watching this probably do know what augments are, but augments are kind of like, they are kind of passive abilities that you place up that give you some kind of bonus when you take some kind of type of action. Like the most famous one is the Mind's Weakness, which is the one that the Mind Thief uses a lot, which just gives them extra damage on their melee attacks. Famously a bit overpowered from the original printing, but probably fixed or has been fixed in 2nd edition. So let's have a look at these augments. Whenever you perform a melee attack targeting an enemy that has a negative condition, after the attack, kill enemies, all enemies adjacent to you suffer 1 damage. Kill all enemies adjacent to you. That'd be a bit overpowered. Attack all enemies adjacent to you. All enemies adjacent to you suffer 1 damage. Okay, so it's like a little bit of a splash damage effect. And so the top is a move 3, attack 2. That's pretty good. Like extra damage. Yeah, that's like a. I mean, it's you know, nothing super crazy, but that's quite a nice extra bit of damage. Like, it's good. What's this augment? Whenever you grant one of your summons an attack, afterwards you grant it move +0. That's quite nice, actually, because that allows them to kind of attack and then move out of danger. Because the problem with summons is a lot of the time they just end up dying immediately. Especially if they're like burn summons, it can just be... You can get blown out because you kind of burn a card to play the summon goes in, you know, maybe it does 1 attack and then it dies. And then it's really not worth it. You really need to get multiple turns out of a summon for it to be worthwhile. So perhaps this can help keep those summons alive a little bit more. What else have we got here? So we have got a summon here. Summon Harrower's Grasp? Harrower's Grasp. 2 life. Attack 1, move 2, range 3 with flying and muddle. That's a really good summon. Like, it's like a level 1 base summon. It might not seem very overwhelming, but this range 3, this flying, move 2, that's really what you're looking at, because that's just going to allow you to flip modifiers. This thing's going to attack stuff. It's going to flip modifiers. You certainly wouldn't need this with this, I would say. I wouldn't really see why you would care, because this should be easily protectable. Unless, of course, you get blown out by some kind of multi-target or something. But this is a single-use summon, so it is a burn. So, 1 XP. But that's a really very good summon. It's kind of similar a little bit to the Spellweaver summon, original summon, Aid from the Ether. The Mystic Ally, I think it was called. That was really good. And that was actually much better than this, I think. I think it had like attack 2 at range 3. It didn't have flying and muddle. And it might have even had more health. But... that summon was just crazy good for level 1, like just insanely good. So this is obviously not quite as good as that, but I still think it's very good. Any summon that can, you know, basically hang around and attack, give you a model value, and just allow you to flip modifiers, you know, that's going to be good, right? Because you just start stacking your modifier deck with like +2s and stuff, or +1s, and then suddenly it starts doing more damage. Or of course, like status effects as well. Like if you start adding like poison and stuff like that into your modifier deck, super good. Got another augment down here. Augment, add wound to all of your melee attacks. Very nice, very nice. Simple effects, but very good. Quite nice with this too. Just attack 2 curse as well. So just muddle sort of curse and wound on a single card. That's very nice. 1 XP as well. That's very... this card's going to be replayed a fair bit, I think. Well, all of these actually are. I mean... Well, you should be replaying them, but to get the XP every time. But that's the kind of like the thing with augments is, generally speaking, you want to be cycling them to get the most out of the XP. But the Mind's Weakness was so good that people would just leave that one up the whole time and just forget about it. Made the character, the Mind Thief character, originally just a bit of a breeze to play. Really, it kind of meant the augments didn't really get a chance to shine, or at least the other augments didn't. Augment, you may perform your melee attack abilities as if you occupied the same hex as any of your allies. That's cool. That's very cool. Especially if you're maybe a slightly lower health character and you need to like protect yourself a little bit more. That's very cool. Attack 2, push 1, and immobilize 2. That is a very nice piece of control tech right there. Very nice. And on a very good initiative as well. This is a great ability. Really good. Invisibility, invisible, one of your summons too. That's kind of cool. Another way to protect them. So here's another summon. So Endless Biting. Summon Dusk Rat Swarm, I'm going to say. 7 health, move to attack 1 melee. Whenever this summon suffers damage, it performs heal 1 self. Interesting. So, that's kind of interesting. Certainly means at level 1, when you're probably just going to be, you know, if let's say, for example, you started this character like in a Gloomhaven campaign, like you're like, great, I'm going to start my Gloomhaven campaign, and I'm going to start with this character. I mean, very early on, you don't take a lot of damage, not in big chunks anyway. So quite often this means this will hang around a decent amount of health. And this is an interesting way to essentially give it more health without actually giving it more health. So it can still die to some kind of like, you know, a ×2, or, you know, if you chuck it right in the mix and it gets attacked by 3 or 4 things in a turn, you know, it still has a good chance of dying. But it's a way to kind of just keep it alive, and also means that, you know, if it gets wounded, that wound falls off, or if it gets poisoned, that poison falls off pretty quick, or it just does fall off. So that kind of stuff is quite interesting, I think. It's a way to kind of just give it some extra survivability without massively cranking the numbers and making it weird or abusable in some other way. Yeah, I mean, I quite like this, except for the fact to me, it just seems like it's a Mind Thief. It's a Mind Thief with slightly different cards. Like, I'm not seeing this to be unique enough right now. I mean, maybe there's some stuff later on. But to me, this looks kind of like a, hey, we needed to fix the Mind Thief. Because the Mind Thief kind of had a summon mechanic and had obviously the augment mechanic. It was kind of like, you know, I mean, I don't think the summon mechanic ended up being very good, but that was mostly because the augments were too good. So, you know, that was kind of a bit awkward. Rat Surprise. But when you play a card from your lost pile, is that? A card from your lost pile to perform a summon action on the card. Grant one of your summons +1. Hey, that's kind of cool. If there's a way for you to be able to get us another summon back. Okay. But again, like, this is the summon. This summon's great. This summon, I think, could be a bit of a tanky summon and a bit of a distraction, maybe. But move 2 is... yeah, move 2 is awkward. Especially considering that any kind of scenario with difficult terrain or anything like that, it's going to struggle. I mean, you can move it, of course, using things like this, right? And you could have, like, this, for example, would help it move. But, yeah. Yeah, to me, this just looks like a Mind Thief. So I don't know if it's distinct enough right now. I'm not seeing anything that would make me feel like, oh, wow, I really want this. Whereas the last one, Hail, that one to me seemed distinct enough that I would be interested. This one, I'm not so sure. But again, maybe there's better cards later on, stuff we haven't seen yet. It's hard to say at this point, right? Because we haven't seen everything. I don't know if these have been spoiled anywhere else, but I guess also the thing is that this probably, I wonder if they've made an actual active effort. Because this character is from Jaws of the Lion, I wonder if they've made more of an effort to make it a bit simpler so that if you own Jaws of the Lion, you can just get this guy, put it in Jaws of the Lion, and it kind of just like, because you wouldn't have the Mind Thief, right? You don't have the Mind Thief if you only own Jaws of the Lion. So maybe this one's geared towards owners of Jaws of the Lion more so than anyone else. And just to be like a, hey, an extra character to play in Jaws of the Lion, which is pretty neat. I mean, how much is Jaws of the Lion, though, right? How much actually is Jaws of the Lion? I mean, like, £38, you get 4 mercenaries. Or if, yeah, say £40 delivered with mercenaries. I mean, I don't know. This pricing to me, I mean, I think it's tough to price something like this. Like, it's tough. Like, I mean, I wouldn't expect to see it to be like £10, because that to me would be maybe like cheap. I don't know. It seems tough. Yeah. My only concern with this is that I don't want this to start a trend. That's my worry here. Is this going to start a trend? Okay, let's look at Satha. Which I guess then if we're going by the logic that this one is from Frosthaven, this should be a more complicated character. I would hope. Where's the mini? Ah, the mini's cool. Ah, the mini's really cool. That'll be a fun one to paint, I think. People who like to paint armor and stuff, this will be a good one to paint. Right, let's have a look at the cards, shall we? Oh, I haven't actually looked at the the health and stuff. Oh, they've got the complexity and stuff on here too. That's interesting. Complexity 2. What were the complexity of the other ones? This is out of curiosity then. Really? Really? I ain't seen anything too complicated there, guys. But 11 card hand though. This one I can see because it's like you're gaining an extra resource and it requires you to be in certain situations, and the hand limit is lower. I think inherently characters with lower hand limits can sometimes be more complex just because you need to manage your stamina extra careful, especially when it's like an odd number of cards like this too, right? Means that you're going to be resting with like one card in your hand in the first cycle, so it's kind of like the first cycle can be a bit awkward for new players. So that one might be pretty accurate. I'm just surprised with that. Okay, back to Satha. Let's have a look at some cards, shall we? Let's zoom in. This one looks like is this slightly higher res? I need the higher res files. Okay, what have we got? I'm being blown out by the white in the image. I apologize, but hopefully it's okay. I'm not seeing anything here. There's some shielding going on. What's this then? Heal 3. If the target of the heal ability was an ally, grant them move 2. Okay. Oh, okay. Is it granting attacks? Is that our thing? Attack 2, grant 1 ally within range 3 and attack 2. Yeah, move 3, grant an ally move 3, which is kind of a little bit similar to the Banner Spear, though. Like, Banner Spear is kind of similar. I mean, this character would work really well with the Banner Spear in the sense that you could set things up very comfortably. That could be good. Allies add +1 to all their attacks they perform during your turn. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So, like, it would work really well with this. Allies add +1 move to all their move abilities they perform during your turn. Okay. Yeah, so she's very much like a commander type character. That's cool. Like, I mean, that would match very low complexity for sure. Got a nice little kind of like if in emergency break glass style ability there with a burn to stun potentially 2 enemies for 2 XP. That's a nice break glass in emergency ability for sure. Get behind me, shield 1. At the end of a round in which an ally was attacked, you must move this card to your discard pile. At the end of a round in... Oh, okay. So you place it up, you get a shield 1, and it's like a persistent ability, right? 1 XP, so it stays up. But as soon as one of your allies gets attacked, then this has to go to your discard pile. It's like you didn't do your job very well. You let the team down, Satha. You let somebody else take damage. Okay, I like that. That's a kind of it's a very thematic ability. It's a bit hard to say like how great that would be. That to me sort of feels a bit more thematic than it does necessarily like mechanical. But certainly will reward good positioning. So I guess it would do that. But yeah, it still feels a little bit more thematic to me. Spur their spirits. Heal 1. Regenerate self, or is that ward? I think that's ward. Yes, ward. Heal 1 ward self. 1 ally within range 3 may immediately play 1 card from their hand and perform the top or bottom action of this card. If they do, gain 1 XP. Oh, that's very good. Any kind of like tricking cards, you know, basically giving people the ability to play extra cards out of turn, and stuff like that usually means broken combos are, you know, on the horizon. If you start doing some kind of some stuff, like all of the most broken stuff from the original Gloomhaven is all to do with taking extra turns, like in some way, either items giving you extra turns or characters granting extra turns to other things, or one particular class that could do a lot of abuse with lost and burn cards and things like that, or lost and burn items, more specifically. Yeah. Yeah, this is ripe for some kind of abuse for sure. Although, I guess the fact that they have to immediately do it, maybe it's not so. I don't know. It's interesting, but to me, that's yeah. I'm sure that they've had to playtest this ability a lot to make sure that it's not completely busted. Negate the next source of damage an ally would suffer this round. It's quite nice. If you just can't quite get there to do the tanking, not bad. It'd also mean that you wouldn't lose your get behind me shield, right? Anything else that stands out here? Mostly melee attacks by the looks of things, little patterns and stuff. Looks like we use ice a little bit on this character. So we have some ice generation. We have some ice consumption. I don't know if I actually noticed that on the other two characters, much elements going on. I don't think I did. If I did, I missed it. Yeah, consume ice again here. Yeah, it seems like a very standard character. Tanky character, melee character with a little bit of extra stuff. I will say, yeah, I mean, it's a low complexity character. Is it really unique? Really unique? I'm not seeing it, but it's kind of basic character. I mean, I don't know what these characters are meant to be. Are they kind of meant to be like, I don't know, like starter level kind of characters? I would say that so far, in terms of like what I've seen, they all to me feel more on par with a starting class rather than some of the more complex stuff. But maybe that's just because I'm so used to Frosthaven at this point in time that I'm used to these really complex ones. I don't know. And they certainly look more on the level of like Gloomhaven than they do Frosthaven, or at least this at least the last couple have, I would say. I would say that maybe the Enchanter feels maybe a little bit more at home in a more complex expansion. Okay, so that was Satha. We have one more. We have Diviner, which said this is a character that is sort of well known, obviously from Forgotten Circles, inspired by Gloomhaven Forgotten Circles, out of print. I mean, yeah, so it's kind of only out of print because you guys didn't reprint it, but okay. Because and this is the reason why? I don't know. I mean, how much is it? Like, this is the one that I'm like most about. Like, I don't know about the pricing here because for me, Forgotten Circles was really cheap. Like in the UK, maybe because they were trying to get rid of it, but like eBay £30 feels like maybe the price has gone up because you could definitely get this game super cheap for a while. Maybe now it's gone up. I mean, there you go. That's £15 right now. I mean, granted, this is probably the original printing, and there's loads of leftover stock of this all over the place. So this is like, I think you'd have to take this as a pinch of salt. But I mean, I don't know if the changes are substantial enough. Maybe you can print out the last ones. I don't know. Just do your own research, folks. I would suggest here. Obviously, this is probably going to come with like maybe it's got new artwork or something, new pieces. Like, yeah, like the cards are going to be like, so it's going to be the new edition and the cards are going to look way nicer and stuff. And potentially the item is maybe something. No, I think the item has been available before. I mean, the character looks really nice. I'll always say that I feel like the artwork for this character is just stunning. Oh, it always has been, really. Okay, so we'll go briefly into this, but like I said, this is kind of like known stuff. So this character mainly deals with, I don't know if they call them rift tokens, but like tokens, like portals, and then they have like manipulation of the different decks and stuff. So they can manipulate like the enemy ability decks, I think from memory. Like I said, I've never actually played through Forgotten Circles myself. I mean, getting the latest edition printing of the character, this might actually be one I would consider just for that. Just so I kind of get like that character and then I can... Yeah, I've got Forgotten Circles somewhere in this room. It's somewhere in this room. No idea where it is, but like I said, I've never even started to play it. I bought it because My Gloomhaven campaign was going really well at the time, and we were really enjoying it, me and my group. But we certainly, like, when we had finished Gloomhaven, we were like, oh, we need a Haven break. So we didn't want to jump straight back into it. And then, you know, it's really hard to start up these. It's really hard to start up these campaign games, right? Once you stop, like, just try and get the momentum back. It can be very difficult. Okay, what have we got? Reoccurrence. In initiative order, each character who has a revealed card in their attack modifier deck may discard one card from their discard pile, or recover one card from their discard pile to immediately play that card and perform the top or bottom action. That's that's again another game breaking thing, being able to play stuff out of order, but it is a burn, so you can only use it once. That's interesting. Probably could be pretty strong. These are the tokens. To place one, I'm going to say portal or rift. I don't actually know exactly what they're called. Within range 4. And then, is that bless? Target all allies occupying hexes containing portals. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Stun, target one ally or enemy. Why would you want to stun an ally? We're about to find out. Place one rift in the hex the target is occupying. That's why. I guess if they're long resting, or you do it to a summon. I guess you would do it to a summon. I wonder if there's also lots of scenarios that have lots of allies as well, like just third-party allies in Forgotten Circles. So maybe that's why something like this would be quite useful. It's like those scenarios where you have your allies who are, there's a couple of scenarios like escort type scenarios in the game. They're kind of a bit of a mess. Some of them, they were never really that good. And you'd have your allies just marching towards a door relentlessly. And they would just open doors. So it was always so annoying, especially on higher difficulty, because they would just basically just walk into danger and immediately die. So you had to kind of like preemptively run in front of them and stuff like that. I can see this being very useful in those types of scenarios. So teleport, consume light, consume dark. I'm not sure what that symbol is. That looks like a new symbol. Is that for this character? Or maybe maybe the resolution's poor. Attack 3, range 3, add +1 PS2 and gain 1 XP if the top card of the monster attack modifier deck is revealed. How do you reveal that then? There must be an ability here to reveal it, right? Yeah, revealed cards on top. So it must be like everybody has to flip over their cards, right? Is there an ability here that does that? That just says reveal them all? Oh, is that what this icon is? That's probably what this icon is. To do with revealing cards or something. Got to be. It's like a scry or something. For you Magic fans out there. Kind of like a scry, except you play with the top card revealed, I guess. After arranging the cards, if the top card of the monster attack modifier deck is positive or ×2, add disarm. If it is negative or a miss, add wound. Yeah, okay. So that must relate to the reordering of the cards and stuff like that. This is by far the most complicated character, I would say, out of the ones in this grouping. Because obviously rearranging it and there is some level of like downtime, I think, that this kind of stuff will cause, right? There's kind of downtime in scenarios where you want to discuss it with the team. If you're playing multiplayer, like, okay, what do we need? And then you got to work out, okay, which enemy is going to go next and which card are they going to draw? So it does add some kind of downtime to the game, but some people absolutely love this kind of stuff because it just gives you it's like unlocks a new way of controlling enemies that just nobody else can do, right? To be able to mess around with that stuff. And have that predictability. It's a bit like when you're playing Pandemic and you get the forecast card that allows you to look at like the top 3 cards of the Infect deck and you know which cities are coming up. You just feel like you're the smartest person in the room when that stuff happens, because you're just like, right, we know it's going to go there, we know it's going to go there, so you know exactly how to plan out your next few moves. It's that kind of stuff. So if you really enjoy that feeling, this character is definitely for you, I think. Okay, and so it doesn't look like there's any proper release date. It says ETA September. That's pretty soon, actually. Okay, so release date September on these things. Pre-order fulfillment is going to be in September. I mean, I was going to say Frosthaven there, which was true, but also I'm just going to say Cephalofair in general and dates don't have the best track record. And I don't think I'm being unfair by saying that. So I do hope that they they stick to this in some way. Might be one of these types of things that would be good to pick up at conventions, because I know that these guys usually have a really good convention booth and usually have all of the accessories, extras, and bits and bobs that they sell. They usually just have them there. So perhaps this might be a good thing to, if you're going to maybe Essen, or maybe that's why it says September, because Essen's in October. That'd be interesting to see. So maybe at Essen, if you go to Essen Spiel, then perhaps you might be able to pick them up from them there, possibly. Obviously, Gen Con, I believe, is this week. So I imagine they're probably showing this maybe at Gen Con, or maybe they've got these on their standard Gen Con. But obviously they're not, they won't be available by the looks of things. Well, they might do. They might have a small amount of stock. I honestly don't know. I'd be interested to know. If you go to Gen Con, put a comment down below and let me know if you saw them, if they were available to you. Okay, well, there you go. I wasn't really expecting to film a video today, and ended up being quite a long one. Just going over my first thoughts for these. What do you guys think about these mercenary packs? I think it's quite nice for people to be able to get hold of a class like the Diviner that you couldn't before. Whether or not this means that this character has now got the potential to come into digital in some way, I'm still not buying it, because I just feel like it's a very, it's such a weird character in terms of how it interacts with the monster decks and stuff. It's so unique that I'm not sure how it would work digitally, easily. I mean, maybe it could, but it feels like it would be a lot of work. Some of these other ones, though, I feel like would absolutely be possible. Especially Satha would make a lot of sense, right? I think. So there's certainly some potential for these maybe to come into Frosthaven digital in the future, way into the future, but I don't know how much these guys, obviously, the developers even knew about these, because I didn't know anything about them. I wonder if they did. I mean, I'd assume that they maybe knew something. But it'd be interesting. Let me know what you guys think about these. Will you be picking these up? Do you think these are good value for money? Are you excited to be able to maybe just pick one that you find particularly interesting to bring? Or do you think that, well, actually I've got enough mercenaries or they're not distinct enough? Just let me know your thoughts, really. I'm not really kind of sold on all of them here. I think I will probably end up picking up the Diviner, because I think it's just going to be nice to have that kind of OG class that I was missing with the new additions and the revisions to that class. That, to me, would be quite nice. But the others, I'm not so sold on, to be honest, apart from maybe Hail. I think Hail is probably the most interesting of the other three. So if I was to pick up one of those, it would probably be Hail. But I think the others, to me, are just, I don't know. They just, to me, they're a little bit too similar to maybe classes that we've already had, or maybe just a bit too simple for me. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the higher level cards are for some of these as well. So maybe we'll get the opportunity to see those, and maybe that might sort of change my mind, because maybe they get super interesting higher levels, or they have super interesting perks or something. But hey, anyway, that'll be it for today. I will be streaming Frosthaven Digital on launch day, which is in a couple of days from now. So if you are interested in seeing me, make sure to go over to twitch.tv/ManagerQuest to follow there. I might try and stream on YouTube at the same time. I'm not promising anything. I was supposed to be setting up and exploring tonight to see if that was possible. So I need to kind of finish this video up and get back to it. But if not, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.